Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, and improving our family relationships, all through the lens of self-government. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about self-government skills for autism. In this video, I'm going to be sharing some personal examples from my life working with children with autism, as well as some basics of autism and how self-government skills can help when working with a child with autism. For many years, I did treatment foster care for troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18, and many of them had different processing issues that they were working with. Every person's unique. So not only did they come from a variety of backgrounds, but they also saw the world and processed the world with a different lens. So there were multiple youth that came to my home who had a combination of things such as ADHD, ADD, OCD, ODD, RAD, FAS, kleptomania, compulsive lying, autism spectrum, bipolar issues, sensory issues, all of these kinds of things that would be relating to one person. So not that all of those were one person, but oftentimes the charts would have multiple of those categories for how that person was going to be processing as I was going to help them with treatment. So part of their treatment involved improving their relationships, improving their ability to self-assess, self-examine, and to make changes in their behavior. But I also wanted them to have something more. I wanted them to have a change of heart so that they would be able to have lasting change for a lifetime. So I recognized that all of the teaching that I did in my home needed to be more than just behavior modification, although that was important, but I needed to also help them to learn principles of self-mastery. So I focused on teaching them self-government. Just as a background, self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So that's what I was trying to teach all the youth that came to my home for treatment foster care. Now, when working with autistic youth, we have to keep in mind some specifics. So when autistic youth came to my home, they had special needs that other people did not have, such as the level of predictability that was required to help them be able to function was a higher level of predictability. So there was one youth that came to my home who actually was pretty severely autistic, and she struggled so much in all of her previous placements and with her family with her anxiety levels and with being able to adjust to changes that were happening around her, as well as some other issues that she was relating to having to do with abuse and honesty issues, or I should probably say dishonesty issues. That autism that we had to keep in mind as we were trying to help her learn how to handle all of the other things that she was dealing with and try to conquer her variety of issues. So how did I help her? I decided that one of the most important things I could do was help her see that she was going to be living in a completely predictable environment. If her environment was predictable, then that meant that her anxieties could decrease. And she could even know ahead of time, this environment is predictable. I can know exactly what's going to happen at any given time in this environment. So I can start working on some of my other background issues that might be making my life more difficult as I go through life as an autistic person. This was super important to help them with that laundry list of things that we were dealing with. After just a short period of time, this girl came to me and she said, "Nicholeen, I feel so much more at peace, even though I'm still struggling with some of my obsessive tendencies, even though I'm still struggling a little bit with my honesty problems and stuff that we're going to be working on. I just know that I don't ever have to worry about how things are going to be handled here. And it just makes it so much easier for me that I know you're going to do it the same every time." And so I knew at that moment she understood that this predictability thing was her friend. And this was really important because later on, when I was being very predictable, following through consistently to help her conquer some of her problems, like the lying and the stealing, that even though she didn't want to have to handle that problem in the moment, she wasn't going to have increased anxiety because the way I was approaching the problem was always going to be the same. So let's talk about some of those approaches that we can use to help children with autism, or truly anyone with autism, be able to function better and solve some of their other problems and issues that they might be working on. I'm going to talk about strategies of self-government and skills that we can use to help people with autism. But before I do, click that subscribe button. All the videos that come out on this channel are dedicated to helping you and your family and loved ones learn the principles and skills needed for self-government and self-mastery. Click on that subscribe button now so that you don't miss out on the next video you might need. In order to be a self-governing person, it's important to understand the process of self-government. So when a person is learning self-government, they analyze themselves. Remember, that was in the definition earlier that I talked about. So when a person analyzes themselves, they have to already know which direction they're headed. That's important. So as the person plans for how to solve a specific problem, such as how to control themselves in a certain scenario, they need to have a plan or a picture of what they want to accomplish from making any kind of a change. So when it comes to children, I spend a lot of time teaching parents and teachers how to pre-teach children, how to prepare them for success. So number one, we want to give somebody a picture or a vision of where they are headed so that they have something to hold on to emotionally, a plan or a target to shoot for in those moments when they feel like they might be getting ready to lose it or having an emotional moment that seems hard to get through. This is what's going to give them the reason why they want to self-govern themselves in the first place. This book, Parenting a House United, which is a best-selling book I wrote years ago after the BBC made a documentary of me and my family, actually talks about how to make a really great vision and how to give that picture or that vision to your children in a way that they can hold on to on a daily basis. So the next thing you want to pre-teach the children is the skills that they need for success. So what skills do your children need to be successful at conquering some of their hard moments and overcoming some of those other issues that you know they should be able to overcome even if they are autistic? I will say people give sometimes too much leniency to people with autism, and that disempowers them. As a treatment foster parent for some teens that were autistic, what I recognized was that if we could give them some predictable skills that they could use, then they could handle some of those other underlying issues. Issues that I think for many years there were people who were just assuming were non-touchable issues. That the child just had to deal with lying as a compulsion, or they had to have rage tendencies. They didn't have to have rage tendencies. Autism does not mean a person must rage. The raging can be worked on if the environment is structured in a way where the autistic processing is actually factored in. And predictability is key for that. So let's talk about some of those skills. There are 4 basic skills that I taught all of the foster children and all of my biological children that were ever in my home that would lead to better self-government. And these skills are not just for people with autism, they are for everyone. They are for every adult, every child. They are just basic adult skills that a person needs for success. But they are best taught in childhood if you are going to create a habit for self-government. These children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills. So this book, this red book, teaches how to follow instructions. There are 5 steps to following an instruction. You look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, do the task immediately, and then check back. Now, I know if you're thinking autistic person doing the task immediately, autistic person having a calm face, voice, and body, autistic person disagreeing appropriately, I want you to know they can do it. They can, especially when they have the structure to hold on to. Obviously, there is a great amount of variety on the spectrum, and everyone is at a different place. But even children with Down syndrome, severe Down syndrome, can learn how to use these skills. They are that basic. So there's following instructions, which has the skill set that I already just talked about. Then this book here, the Green Book, Porter Earns a Quarter, talks about accepting no answers and criticism. There's also a skill set for that. Then this book here, Big Win for Quinn, teaches accepting consequences. If a person does not get the opportunity to accept their consequences, they can't learn self-government. Everything in their life will always be somebody else's fault. That is not a characteristic of autism, to think that everything is somebody else's fault. That's called entitlement. And you can work on entitlement when you are creating a predictable environment where somebody is learning to accept their consequences. This book here, Paige Takes the Stage, teaches the skill disagreeing appropriately. This is definitely the highest functioning skill, but I want you to know that even 2-year-olds can use this skill. I have seen it happen in home after home, even in my own home. These 4 basic skills that have skill sets attached to them actually take care of 99% of behavioral problems. They also, when utilized, remove all of the emotional attachment to specific circumstances that occur. For instance, let's say you're having broccoli for dinner, but your child does not like the broccoli. Maybe they have a sensory problem with the broccoli or something like that. If the child is screaming about the broccoli, then they are not following the instruction to eat the broccoli, and they're not utilizing the step that they could disagree appropriately, which means they're also not using the disagree appropriately skill. They're screaming. So instead of discussing broccoli and all of its health benefits forever with a child who's going out of control, I am instead going to do a correction and talk only about the skills for disagreeing appropriately, to help them learn and know right in the minute how to rein it in and disagree appropriately with me instead of continue the tantrum, which basically does not help them or the situation with anybody else. As well as teaching the children the 4 basic skills that they need to be successful and to overcome a lot of their troubling behaviors that truly they actually get frustrated about as well, even though it seems like they hold on to them so secure in their autistic way. They don't like having to deal with the same thing again and again. That gets annoying to them, just like it could get annoying to anyone. Not only do I teach them those 4 basic skills, but I also teach them the 5 teaching styles that I'm going to be using with them, which means I teach them word for word every single word that I will use in a correction, every word that I will use in a praise, in a pre-teach, when they are going completely out of control. They know the process and the words. I teach the words to them. We actually switch roles and we will role play so that they can practice those skills, so that when the moment occurs, those words that they know are the words they hear. Even if they're starting to go out of control and not wanting to focus or not wanting to accept the words, they still know those are the words that they know. That predictability actually will help them have a little bit of confidence in their ability to be calm, and it will also help engage that prefrontal cortex so that they can get rid of some of those emotional ruts that they're falling into when they're starting to see things not go right around them. Teaching them the skills you're going to use to correct them also removes all the guesswork and manipulation and increases predictability, which decreases anxiety. And that is what we want. So there are other things in the teaching self-government parenting system that could totally help. In fact, there's so many, but I just want to bring your attention to a few more of those things right now, just so that you are looking for them when you go and find out more. So there are meetings that we have. So we have individual mentor meetings with each child every week. These meetings, we talk about key issues we're working on. We talk about our processing and what types of goals we're going to make for that. And then we have a time to follow through. That leads to self-government. This journal here has meeting formats for family meetings. So this is another time where we're going to be deciding ahead of time how to handle problems in the home environment, and we will plan for the negative consequences, the positive consequences, and how to discuss problems together. This environment not only improves social skills and connections, but it also helps increase predictability, because if anything needs to change, it was talked about ahead of time, which is so good. Many people who are autistic, depending on where they're at on the spectrum, have a hard time with sitting through really long meetings. The cool things about both of these meetings is there's time limits attached to them so that they also know exactly when they'll be done. Now, this journal is oftentimes people's favorite journal because it's a journal that teaches problem-solving exercises. So SODAS is the name of the problem-solving exercise. The problem-solving exercise SODAS stands for situations, options, disadvantages, advantages, and solution. When you want to help a person develop the prefrontal cortex and disengage the emotional processing that's going on, that's trapping them in their brain, they've got to have this procedure to go through to bring them to the front. So these SODAS exercises help a person go to front brain and develop that ability to problem solve, to stop a person from getting stuck in those ruts that they get trapped in and keep going to back brain again and again. And we know that many autistic people have some pretty deeply rooted, like chasms maybe, in their brain. It's hard to form a new path, but I want you to know that it is possible, especially as a parent has patience. Speaking of patience, one of the most important parts of creating an environment where a person with autism or otherwise learns self-government and bonds to their family is having a tone of calmness. So this means that the person who's doing the self-government teaching has to actually be self-governed themselves. This means you, if you're that person that's going to be teaching someone how to govern themselves and learn specific skills. And when it doesn't go right, because a person who has autism and has habits that are very difficult to overcome, they will stumble a lot as they are trying to master a basic skill. You have to be ready to be patient through that. You have to be calm when things don't go right and not engage in power struggles with them, which means that you need skills for calmness. And that is one of the most important things that I teach with the self-government trainings and courses that I give. Since you have stayed to the end of this video, I would like to give you a free gift. And it is free access to my Calm Parenting Toolkit, which is a mini course that you can access just by clicking the link that's in the description below this video. So if you go to the link teachselfgov.com/toolkit, if you click that link, then you will be able to get my Calm Parenting Toolkit for free and start your path to self-government so that you can better teach your children and your loved ones the skills and principles of self-government too. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.